Hey reefers, welcome back to the channel. Today let's talk about some of the livestock in my 150-gallon mixed reef tank. In this video, I want to talk about the fishes I currently have in my tank. I think there's 15, maybe 16 fishes. I don't remember the actual count. First fish is the blue-green chromis. At one time, there was 5 of them in here, and this is the lone survivor. They pretty much kill each other off, and just the last one standing after a couple years of having a couple in the tank and just one left now. Next fish I want to talk about is the midnight clownfish. This one's not a typical clownfish that I have in my tank. Usually the clowns that I have, they just stay up in the top corner and just swim around. I mean, barely swim around, but this one here, she acts like she's one of the big fishes. She's aggressive when it comes to food. She swims out in the open. She looks at the rock, or swims around all the rock structures, and you can see here she's just hanging out because she thinks I'm about to feed them. Next fish here is a blue damsel. I'm not sure the species name, but it's just a blue damsel. This one's just recently been added along with another fish that you haven't seen in the tank yet, and we'll get to that fish here shortly. But yeah, that's the third fish so far in the tank. She's already made her home right here in this cave underneath that rock, so she's doing pretty well. She's been through a lot, and I just didn't want to get rid of her when I broke down the previous tank that she was in, so I added her to here. Another fish I want to show is the 6-line wrasse. Pretty chunky 6-line wrasse. Usually hangs out here in this area, but looks like it's not in this area right now. We'll see if I can spot her in the back, but I'm pretty sure she's just roaming around the rocks and picking on the corals. Not corals, but picking on the rocks looking for pests to eat. And then I have 2 of these Fiji yellowtail damsels as well. There's 2 of them in this tank. So what's funny about these 2 is they split the tank up in half. One stays on the left side and one stays on the right side. They pretty much just have their own territory that they have already made. It's like an invisible line. Sometimes you'll catch them meet up right where that Duncan coral is, face off at each other, and then swim their separate ways. I really enjoy these smaller fishes here. They stick to the reef pretty close, like swimming throughout the corals. Just looks really natural to me. Okay, let's see if we can find the 6-line wrasse anywhere here, but I'm pretty sure everybody's seen what a 6-line wrasse looks like. Mine's pretty chunky, eats a lot, and I thank it for keeping my tank pretty much pest-free. Next fish is the flame hawkfish. Let's see if we can find it in the tank here somewhere. It's always around here somewhere, especially when I'm close to the tank. It makes sure to let me know that it's right there, that it's hungry or something. It'll perch itself onto a rock or the frag rack there and just give me a dirty look. So I think I've taken care of all the smaller fishes. Oh, there he goes. There goes the flame hawkfish just doing his thing, hiding in the corals. But what it usually does is it'll swim laps around the tank, especially when I'm around. That is its way of letting me know that feed me. But, you know, I keep my tank pretty well fed. They eat throughout the whole day. So the next fish I want to talk about, actually there's 3 of them, and that's the Australian stripies here. I got them to help control the Aptasia population I had, and they did a very good job when I first got them. They pretty much wiped the tank out of Aptasia, but the Aptasia will still pop up, and they have popped up in my tank again, and it's in places that these guys can't get to because they've gotten so big. My advice to anybody out there when you're buying the Australian stripey, get the smallest ones you can find. These guys here I got were very small. They were almost the size of the damsel when I first got them, and in the past 8, 9 months of after having them, they're pretty much the size of the tangs now. They are very, very aggressive eaters. They eat everything I throw in the tank: pellets, seaweed, anything I throw in there. And their favorite is the frozen shrimp I get from Walmart. I try to feed them the meatiest food I can get, which is the frozen raw shrimp from Walmart. And yes, they're not reef safe. They can and eventually may go after my LPS, but these guys have been well behaved for now, especially because I do feed a lot and keep them well fed. So they should not turn onto corals, but who's to say one day they will? I don't know. But it's just, it is what it is. You have to take a chance and risk it when you have fish that can't eat corals. Next fish here is the biggest, widest fish, the purple tang. Had it for I don't know, over almost 2 years now, I believe, and it's doing well. It's not too aggressive. It does have its moments with the convict tang that I have in here. They sometimes go at it, but other than that, they're pretty peaceful fish. They just do their own thing. Here's the newest addition, the juvenile emperor angel. I've had him in my other tank as well, and I just couldn't rehome him. Had him for a little over a year now, so it's part of the family now. And I know I'm taking a big risk putting him in here, but that's a risk I'm willing to take. I've seen him pick at one coral and one coral only, which is the Space Invader Pectinia, which is down there right by his cave. So I'm going to keep an eye on him, and if I catch him picking on corals, I'm just going to run up and tap the glass and scare him away, and hopefully that'll teach him. But he's going to eat corals. He's going to eat corals. I mean, what can you do? Take him back out or just remove corals? So, I'll deal with it if it gets really bad in here where he's picking on my SPS and stuff, if he picks on it. But, again, I'm going to really keep the tank well fed so they stay full and they don't need to turn on to corals. Next fish here is the foxface rabbit fish, the one spot. I got this fish because I did have a bubble algae outbreak, and people online say that these guys are pretty good at eating the bubble algae, and all the bubble algae is pretty much gone. I don't think he's the only one that ate it, because I taught my other tanks to eat it as well. Plus I have a bunch of emerald crabs in here. Then here's the Scopus tang and Naso tang and convict tang, and I think that should round up all the fish stocking I have in this tank. Some people may say my tank is way overstocked for the size and the amount of fish, because the tangs are going to get big, they're going to outgrow the tank one day and just going to have issues. But right now they're doing great, they're doing amazing, and when they get too big for the tank, it's not hard to do two things. One is to rehome them to the local fish store and see if they can find a new home for them, or I can just upgrade to a bigger tank. I know I make it sound like it's easy, but I don't think I'm gonna have that problem. Not anytime soon. Not in the next at least 3 to 5 years. Is when I'm gonna have issues with these tanks growing too big. But for now, pretty happy with my stocking of fish. I do one day want to get a copper band butterfly, but I can't keep those guys alive no matter what I do. I've done everything I can to try to keep them alive, but they just don't survive. They're just too hard to get to eat regular food, for me at least. So that should be the end of the fish stock that I have in my tank. Again, don't go out there and overstock your tank. Plan accordingly based on the size of the tank you have, the size of fish that you plan to get, and the amount of corals you have. And another thing is to feed your fish often. I'm not saying to overfeed your tank. To me, the best way to feed your fish is to feed a lot throughout the day instead of a lot at one time, meaning break it up into portions if you can. And another thing I wanted to mention is get the right fish for your tank. Get fishes that contribute and do work for your tank to keep it clean. Example, tangs. They eat algae, they graze all day, they pretty much help maintain your system. And then wrasses, they pretty much go after flatworm pests that can come into your system and keep your corals safe. The next couple videos I want to share out there is probably a feeding video. I do feed 3 different types of food. Every day is a different feeding, so I'll get more into detail on that later into a separate video on what I feed and how I feed them. Oh, and I also wanted to do a video trying to name the corals that I have in the tank. It's going to be a very long video, so it might be a couple videos because the amount of corals I have in here. I'm trying to get down to like the trade names and stuff like that. So stay tuned and hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks again for watching and happy reefing.